Once upon a time, I was a liberal. I am now walking away.
Well, that just happened. Welcome back, Patriots. This is part 2 of the show, and this is the part that actually is going to be pleasant and fun to be a part of. This is a very special episode of Walk Away with Brandon Straka. Why? Not just because it's my birthday, which it is. It is. There's no denying it. It's my birthday. But because we decided to have some fun with this week's episode, and I was thinking, what would make it really special, like a very special episode of the show for my birthday. And I thought, I want to have the best. I've had amazing guests on this show. I mean, in our short little life, we've had Roseanne Barr, Dinesh D'Souza, Antonio Sabato Jr. We've had Anomaly. We've had, I don't want to leave anybody out. Wow. I mean, I've had just like the most incredible experiences with the most incredible guests. Laura Loomer was just on recently, who's been a very hot topic for being, that girl just cannot catch a break. She's getting banned on Twitter. She's getting banned on Facebook. She's getting banned on GoFundMe. Which is really scary. Not only are they trying to deplatform conservatives, but they're actually trying to prevent them from even being able to make a living. It's very, very scary. But we've been very blessed. I've been very blessed to, I've been blessed in so many ways this year, not just with the show and the amazing guests I've had, but with all the experiences that this year has brought me. And so I thought, of all the amazing guests that I've had and all the amazing experiences, what could make it even better? Like what could top the incredible guests that I've had so far on this show? And I thought, I know, it's my own walkaway family and my own walkaway team. This is how I want to spend my birthday. And these are the guests that I want to have on my show, sharing this very special day and sharing this time with the audience of the show. And so without any further ado, I want to introduce everybody, because there's a lot of newcomers in Walkaway. Many of you have followed since the very beginning and have gotten to know a lot of these people, I think, as the campaign has unfolded. But there are a lot of newcomers who have come on within the last week, within the last month, within the last couple of months, and you may not even know the team. So what a great opportunity to meet the team and just have some fun and get to know these incredibly special people the same way that I've gotten to know them. So I want to introduce my Walkaway family. Ladies and gentlemen, the Walkaway campaign family team. Say hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
One thing I should point out is that since we're, it's not exactly Fox News, so when we talk at the same time, our microphones cut out. So we have to make a conscious effort to talk one at a time. But I want to introduce everybody, and why don't we start with Libby Albert. Libby, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I'm Libby Albert, everybody. I joined the campaign, way back, probably in the beginning of June. We were at about 1,500 members, and things were just really starting to ramp up, and Brandon was in major need of help. We kept growing and growing and growing, and more testimonials kept coming in, and we had more members, and poor Brandon just could not handle it by himself. So I jumped in to try to moderate and help at least set some standards in terms of moderation, and built that part of the organization out. And here we are, continuing to grow and build and bring more people over to the light side.
It's so true, and we're going to dive further into that in just a minute, Libby, and everything that you and I did together in those early days. But the next person I want to introduce is the woman herself, who has been hugely instrumental in creating so many of the beautiful, visuals, the marketing for the campaign, so many of these beautiful memes and posters, and oh my God, what else? It's the kind of thing where I feel bad even starting it, because I'll probably forget the billions and billions of things that she does, but we will dive into that too. I want to introduce our current head of marketing, Tanya Roberts. Tanya?
Hi there. It's a pleasure to be on today. I joined the campaign toward the end of June, so it was still really early on. And I could see all of the missing pieces at the time, although things were just taking off and doing way beyond I know what Brandon even expected at that time. But it was fun to jump in and help to put some branding in place, bring some continuity, and then we launched merchandise. And so that was a blast, getting shirts and hats and all that stuff started. But it's been an incredible ride. I don't think I've ever done anything quite like this in terms of marketing or worked with this type of a group. And we have the best team ever.
We do.
Phenomenal.
We do. And yeah, it's true. I don't think any of us have done anything quite like this. And it's been remarkable the way we've been like flying on a wing and a prayer, but somehow I think very guided, and it's working for us. Somehow it's working for us. All right, Libby, I need to ask you, because some things I'm going to be learning today along with the audience. I actually don't know who came next, Justin or Sharon. Libby, who came next?
Sharon, actually. It was Sharon. Sharon was were you in my first batch of moderators, Sharon? Yeah. She was in my first batch, and then Justin was in my second batch of moderators that we brought on, so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please meet Sharon Black.
Hello. I joined the campaign it was about mid-June, and I just saw Brandon's video after having a fight with my liberal best friend, and I was searching the internet for some kind of something to fulfill the void of losing my best friend, and Brandon's video popped up, and I started crying. And I was like, wow. I need to be a part of this. He fulfilled that void. This campaign has fulfilled that void of losing a friendship, for 25-year friendship. So it was the best thing that I've ever gotten involved in. And I am so grateful to this campaign and to Brandon for giving me friends. I lost one, but I gained so many. And I'm just so happy to be a part of this. And it's a lot of work, but I love it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Sharon, first of all, thanks for making us all cry before we've even begun. And Sharon, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna talk really thoroughly about your involvement in the campaign, all the amazing things that you do. Sharon's kind of our jack of all trades in many ways. I mean, she's just always there to pick up and do whatever needs to be done, and she's brilliant, and we love her. And we'll come back to that in a moment. Next, let's meet the man himself, and by the way, Michael, so we have another member of the team, one of our newer members of the team, and I think he's not feeling very well today. So he's obviously not going to be with us, but so we do have almost a balance. We have 4 women on the team right now and 3 men. So one of the other men besides me, Justin Buchanan. Justin, say hi, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin. I've been part of the campaign since June as well. And I have loved it this whole time. I saw Brandon's video back in, I think, May, and joined the campaign right away. And then suddenly, I was getting reached out to by members of the campaign saying, we loved your video and you should get involved. And I was so excited to help out and do whatever I could, and it's just been an incredible ride. And I've met all of you, so yeah.
We love you, Justy. Sometimes I call him Justy. And our newest member of the team, who I met in Washington, D.C. when we did the Walkaway March on Washington. And I believe that's where Melissa's involvement began. But that's definitely where I met Melissa. She volunteered to help us out with our gala dinner and the Walkaway March and the Walkaway brunch with Dinesh D'Souza, which was all incredible. So please meet the newest member of the team who jumped on board at the end of October, Melissa. Melissa?
Hi there. Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Roby. I started the campaign like Brandon said, in DC at the march. I kind of just walked in, started volunteering, jumped in, and I met an incredible group of people. And I've just loved every part of it. I've loved working with everybody. I've loved every single person I've met along the way. I think the march was amazing, full of amazing people. Love was everywhere. It was just, it's just such a heartfelt experience, and I can't wait to do more and help out.
We love you, Melissa. Melissa, people have kind of come and gone in this campaign, and we've had amazing people that we've unfortunately lost because they had to, for whatever reason, move on and do something else. But this is kind of the core team that has stuck around, and Melissa had that it factor that we look for in the Walkway campaign, which is normalcy. Normalcy. We have no shortage of people who come up to us and they're like, I want to join the campaign. I want to run the campaign. We need to start knocking on doors. We need to start doing. We're like, okay, we'll let you know. Thanks. But Melissa had that factor that we love, which is just, you're normal. We love that. We love that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Love you all.
It's a high bar. It's a really high bar. So I'd like to, before
I don't know if I'd call any of us normal, but
created a new normal.
Yeah. It's our definition of normal. So before we dive in too much, I would like to point out that it is our head of marketing and promotion who is the only person not wearing a Walkway shirt today. Killing it, Tanya. You're killing it.
Way to go, Tanya.
That's why we keep her right there. All right, so I want to start with Libby. Because Libby she has been kind of my right hand since the very beginning. And I want to explain to everybody how she came into my circle, my orbit, and why she is where she is. So when the Walkway campaign began on May 26th, I put out a video, 6-minute video, talking about why I was walking away from liberalism in the Democratic Party. I encourage other people to create videos as well because I knew I wasn't the only person feeling this way. I wanted to make a testimonial campaign where people on the left who are walking away from the left and liberalism in the Democratic Party told their stories. But I also wanted to encourage people on the right to tell their stories as well. People who were fed up with being called racists and bigots, who are fed up with being maligned by the liberal media, who are fed up with having the narrative of what it means to be a conservative in America defined by people on the left, things about them that are not true. Because I had discovered throughout the course of 2017, after I walked away, that people on the right were not really the people that I had been led to believe that they were for so long. I had been told that people on the right hated gay people, that people on the right were racist, that people on the right were greedy, white, privileged, uncaring, unempathetic, unkind people. And what I discovered was that really nothing could have been further from the truth. So I wanted people on the right to speak out as well and make their testimonials. So I rolled out the video on May 26th. I created a group on Facebook that I called the #Walkaway campaign. And it was a little bit slow going at first. I remember in those early days, obviously I was the only member of the team. I was the only admin. I was the only moderator. And I was just this guy in a Facebook group who was constantly posting and tagging every person, a high-profile conservative that I could think of. Well, and not just conservative. I was tagging Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, Tucker Carlson, Judge Jeanine, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Milo Yiannopoulos. I was just like, will somebody please take notice of this thing that we're trying to do, that I'm trying to do at the time? It was really just me. And I kept going on a daily basis and saying, come on, America, make your testimonials, make your testimonials. And it was lonely. It was lonely in there for a while and in retrospect, I don't even really know exactly why I stayed with it or why I kept it up, because I had no evidence that it was going to work out. There was no proof that this idea was going to materialize into anything, or that there would be any fruits that would blossom from all of this work. But I kept going, and slowly but surely, I think about a week or so in, people started to make testimonials. And I actually remember in the first week, I actually did a video where I was prompting people because it was, it wasn't really happening. And I remember I created 2 sort of prompting statements. One, I think, was, people think that I'm blank because I'm a conservative, and this is why that's not true. And then I think the other one was, I'm walking away from the left because, and I said, just make a video that's 30 seconds. 30 seconds, just fill in that blank. And a couple of people did. And I was like, ooh, good. Something's happening. This is starting. But then several weeks into the campaign, after a few of those videos trickled in, I saw this video that broke my heart. God, I still get emotional every time. I mean, 6 months later, I still I just got it socked me in the feels. I saw this testimonial that just broke my heart. And it was this girl talking about how she had been her whole life a liberal, and that she could no longer take what she's seeing and what she feels like liberalism is becoming. And her husband was feeling the same way. And she said this statement in the video that just crushed me. She said, the idea that people think that I've married a racist, homophobic, hateful bigot is life-altering. And something about that statement just killed me. And so I decided to do a live video where I played her video on my phone, just the audio, that's all people could hear. And I stopped it every few statements and commented on what I was hearing. And I was like, this is it. This is it, you guys. This is what I'm talking about. This is that truth that I've been waiting so long for someone to step up and say, because I know I'm not the only person feeling this way. I know it. And I got vindication in that moment that this is it. There are others. This is other. And it was Libby. It was Libby's video. And after I did that live video and I really sort of featured her story, she reached out to me and she said, and I was a nobody. I mean, at this time, I'd never done any media. I had never, so she was just reaching out to some guy, some crazy guy who started a Facebook group. And she was like, thank you, crazy guy on Facebook, for featuring my video. And I was like, thank you for making the video. And we started talking. And, we started kind of messaging back and forth. And then after her video, things started blowing up, and that video of hers got a ton of views. And then things just started kind of blowing up. And then I started doing media, and I had to reach out to her and be like, look, things are getting kind of dicey here. It's blowing up and I'm starting to lose control. Will you help me? And she kind of jumped right in and said, yeah. And so, sorry, that was a really long introduction, but Libby, will you tell everybody, why did you make a video in the first place, and what brought you to what was at the time a very, very small group called the Walkway Campaign?
It's so funny listening to your experience of the whole situation and my experience. Like, you're like, I'm some nobody. I'm not, nobody knows who I am. And for me, I'm like, honey, I'm internet famous. Out. Like, a totally different experience between the two of us. I was like, this is amazing. Get ready. But no, the transition had been happening probably since Trump was elected. Although it probably never would have happened had my husband not voted for Trump. And that was, at first, it was something that was just, my soul was crushed. I was like, how can my husband do something like this? I mean, we have always been on the same page politically. I mean, our political ideals are something that bond us. And I felt really betrayed by him that we could go from Bernie supporters to him voting for Trump. I just thought it was outrageous. And as time went on, we spent a whole lot of time not talking about politics, which was my rule. It was just, nope, we're not having this conversation. Over time, he kind of wore me down and kept speaking that pesky logic. So I had to, eventually listen. But all the while, I'm watching his social circle sort of crumble. And I'm watching, mutual friends unfriend him on Facebook and ultimately in real life, right? Because we can take a hint. But also, just people calling him a Nazi. He's Jewish, which is interesting. I just, the things that he's been called by people that we know in real life that have known him before that and never uttered words such as that, it was really hurtful to me. And to an extent, I blamed him because I was like, why can't you just keep your mouth shut? Why do you have to feed them? Just don't say anything. That way we're not upsetting anyone. And eventually I came to realize that it's their problem, not ours.
Right.
It was them that were being hateful and that could not accept another opinion. They were the ones that were being bigoted. And that just made me question everything that I knew. And it also made me feel very guilty because I don't think that I was ever really nasty to people, but I definitely had my internal preconceived notions of conservatives and what they stand for. And only once I became part of the Walk Away campaign and started surrounding myself with more conservatives did I realize that it's all a bunch of crap.
So Libby, when did you see my video?
I was on vacation in Orlando, going to Disney World, and we only had a couple days left, but I don't even remember where I was. But my husband messaged me. We were together because that's what couples do. They Facebook message each other when they're in the same room. And he sent me the video, and he's like, you have to watch this. And I'm like rolling my eyes like, okay, here's another one I have to watch. And so I did. And I was just utterly speechless at that moment. But it was the moment that I felt completely vindicated for how I felt. And it was the first time that I started growing some balls to actually do something about it and to say something about it. And I didn't even find the group until after we had come home on vacation, but I had it in my mind. I'm like, I got to find this guy.
Wow.
And so when we got home, I found the Facebook group. I read the directions because I'm great at following directions, and saw that it was a video testimonial campaign. I was like, okay, you know what? I got to prepare for this. So this is going to be a couple of days. But the next day I was like, screw it. I'm just going, off the cuff. And here we are.
Everything happened exactly the way that it was supposed to, because I know privately you've told me before, you were like, I wanted to, have hair and makeup done and be in my lighting and be whatever. And then you were just like, screw it. And I mean, you just had your hair pulled back, no makeup, you had your glasses on and stuff, but it was the most real. God, it was just so real. It was so real. And so it's to this day, it is one of my absolute favorite walk away videos for so many reasons, but it's amazing. I mean, truly, every time I talk about it, I still get emotional. Like it just takes me right back there. I want to switch to Tanya for a moment because I know she's really short on time. And Tanya, first of all, thank you for making time today because I know you have somewhere to be. Tanya, can you give us a little background about how you found the campaign and yeah, what was going on with you at that time? So
I was following David Harris Jr. at the time. And
we love him. We love him. And so I think he had interviewed you or mentioned something about, I don't remember. Anyway, he said something about, you've got to go see this video. So I remember jumping on right after his show concluded. And I was in my kitchen and I was just standing there, tears running down my face. I was so moved. I mean, it's choking me up right now. And so I looked at my husband and I said, there's something on this video. I said, I watched 1,000 videos. I've heard so many people, there's something on this. It's like God is on this video. I feel an anointing on it. And something huge is going to happen with this. Finally, somebody spoke up. And so anyway, I watched it 5 more times. And of course I was blown away too, just with how epic it was, how well done.
you were such a wordsmith in this thing.
That's what happens when you have gay people make videos.
And I thought,
Drama.
it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. I thought, my God, this is incredible. And so then to find out later, you know, that it wasn't professionally produced and that you were able to do that the way you did just blew my mind. But anyway, I remember sending the video to my mom and to my daughter, Shea, who you know, and Shea responded just like, Mom, what in the heck? This is incredible. I said, I know. I just can't believe this. And so anyway, I had all this pent up, I don't know, agitation. And so I was a conservative to begin with. And I was just getting so fed up and so disgusted watching our nation slipping out of our hands. And I was so frustrated. And I had been silent for so long because it wasn't popular. I was in a position, in a very prominent position in ministry, and over a very diverse church. And there was such a rising of Black nationalism that was completely identity politics. Here's people that are conservative, say that they embrace conservative principles, yet we're voting so crazy in my mind. I'm thinking, how can you be both? But it was not, there was no way that I could voice that and continue in the influence that I had. And I knew it. And so, you have to separate church and state and all of that. And so I embraced that for years. And so here comes Brandon, and suddenly Tanya had a voice. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's somewhere constructive I can direct this energy. So I reached out. I prayed the night before, and I got up that morning, and I said, God, what do I do with all of this? What do you want me to do? And it was so crazy. And trust me, I'm not nuts, but I didn't hear an audible voice. But it was like I clearly heard inside of me, reach out to him right now on Facebook Messenger. And so I did. Here's my message to Brandon. And it says, hello, Brandon. Thank you for your courage to lead this movement. You have built a bridge to walk away on. And that bridge is massive, it's strong and lasting, and I see it. And I offered him, some services and marketing, and he responded in like less than 5 minutes. And like Libby, I'm like, oh my God.
Help. Yeah.
And so anyway, we had the most amazing conversation for over an hour. And in that conversation, I felt like our hearts were welded together. I don't know how else to describe it, because it just doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
With people normally. And I thought, I don't care where this guy goes or what he does. I am on assignment from God, I feel like, to him. And I'm going to do anything and everything within my power. Every talent, every passion, whatever is on the table, and I won't hold anything back. And I'm not changing my mind.
I'm so glad. And it's been, people will never know. I hope someday we have time to all sit down and like write a book together about this thing that has happened to us. But like the world could never possibly know the whirlwind that was surrounding all of us. Because it's like you said, Tanya, you felt like suddenly you had a voice, but that was happening to thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people. And these people were like, we want t-shirts, we want coffee mugs, we want a place to go, we want groups, we want meetings, we want whatever, give it to us. And we were like, we were just trying, I think, to keep up with what people wanted. Yeah. And so, when you came into my life, I was like, please, God, yes. And like I was joking earlier when I made the comment, about Melissa, that she has that quality normalcy. But, you were not the first person who stepped up and said, like, let me help you with marketing. Let me help you with marketing. But nothing felt right. And, but I knew when I read your message, I was like, this is right. I need to talk it's her. I need to talk to her. It's true. And unfortunately, I think in the midst of all of that chaos and whirlwind, some people came into the campaign who, you know, maybe weren't the right fit at the time. And it was, you know, I mean, there were bumps. There were definitely bumps along the way, but, you know, and oh, Tanya, I mean, I felt so close to you early on. And then it's like there was just so much whirlwind and chaos and stuff. But finally, I think after some of the bumpy things that we went through, we've become stronger together. And like, I know that you are exactly the person who should be where you should be in the campaign. You're exactly, and I don't regret, I think, some of the tough times that we had, but it's like, that's what led us to this point. And I have to say, Tanya, again, because I know you're short on time, but you became emotional a moment ago when you were describing seeing my video and watching my video. One of my favorite moments, I think, in this entire campaign was the walkaway march on Washington, when before I spoke, we showed my video on the giant screen for everybody there. And you were standing beside me when I was watching the video. I had tears streaming out of my eyes while I was watching, because I've never felt, pride isn't even the word. I mean, it was this like, holy shit, how did we do this? Like, how did we do this?
So awe.
Yeah. And you were standing right beside me, and you were crying too, because I could hear you, and I don't even think I looked at you, but I could hear you and I could feel your tears. And I felt like my heart was connected to yours. I don't even remember if we were embracing. We may have been, but I don't think I've ever felt so close to somebody as I felt to you at that moment, because no one else could possibly understand. You know, I mean, well, besides the people in this group, but I mean, no random person at that event could possibly understand what I was feeling. And it was just such an amazing moment, standing beside you and being with you at that moment when we were experiencing that together.
Ditto. I remember glancing over at you, and of course I was so proud of you. Because it's been tough. You know, you have had such courage, and so but to see this thing manifest the way it did and culminate into this massive, you know, event, and everything just went without a hitch. I mean, it was just incredible. And all of us as a team, oh my gosh, we worked so tirelessly, and just to stand there and watch you take a risk. Right? You went with something you felt, you did the video, and it's such an inspiration for so many to step out of your comfort zone, and you never know how far something's going to go. But you're right. I felt so connected to you, and so grateful for a friendship like
Same.
that, you know, and, you know, yes, we've been through bumpy things in the road, but that's family. Right. And, when you don't throw each other away,
No.
you know, strong relationships are built. And so that's something I really appreciate about the whole campaign and this whole team. I love each and every one of you individually.
Agreed.
And to see you, oh my gosh, when I saw you guys at the Trump, I was just like, I have to just hug your neck and take a picture. And it was just awesome, you know, to be able, because this is such a unique thing, to build a movement by video and phone calls and not be able to touch each other has been remarkable, that we have stayed together like we have, just based on that distance alone.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's, you know what's funny? I mean, it may sound stupid to people, but like that didn't even occur to me until that day when we were in Trump. Like literally even the day of, when I knew people were coming in, like I never had that thought like, oh my God, I'm going to meet them in person. Like, I felt like I already knew everybody. I felt like, I mean, it was wonderful to be able to throw my arms around people, but I was like, I felt like I already knew you.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I'd known you all along.
But I remember seeing you come out of the elevator for the first time in person. And of course, I never was together. Like on all of our Zoom calls and video calls, I used to always tease, oh my gosh, I don't even have any mascara on. I haven't even done my hair. I'd be like straight from the gym, hair in a ponytail, whatever. And so that was the first time Brandon ever saw me with my hair combed or makeup on. And he's like, oh my gosh, look at you.
It's like, Tanya, you're hot.
But yeah, it was just crazy. I felt like we were in one of those movies where you just run to each other and wrap your arms around each other and, oh my God, you're here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
forever, ever in my heart.
Oh, same. And how much time do you have left at this moment?
I've got 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay. Yeah. When the campaign was like, everything about this campaign and this experience has been incredible, but it's also been the most difficult challenge I think I've ever experienced, and probably many of us have ever experienced. And I just remember so many conversations, Tanya, where you became like a real confidant to me, because even our personal and our private lives, we have a lot of experiences that we have in common. And so I always knew that I could call you and be like, help me, I'm losing my mind. Help me. And you know, it's amazing. It's so amazing that like the right people were brought into this experience, you know, because I didn't know that Libby like is a project manager and has experience with organizations. Like this is what she does. I didn't know, well, I did know that you did marketing, but I mean, I didn't know that you also worked as like a pastor and that you had the spiritual experience. I mean, I was just naturally gravitating towards you because you were propping me up spiritually so much in a way that I needed. I mean, it was, how could any one person ever know what to do in a situation like this? I mean, it was just like, it was sink or swim.
Right. Absolutely. You know? We were figuring it out as we went.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but in this bizarre way, it's like, you know, I definitely was leaning on you, and I think leaning on everybody for guidance and that kind of spiritual help. But at the same time, I can't explain how and why I felt prepared for everything. I mean, most people in media try to work their way up to Tucker Carlson. That's the like, that's the goal, right?
Right.
That was my first TV interview. It was
incredible.
Carlson.
Yeah, and I remember we were talking about it, and you were so bent on getting on that show. And so I'm in California, you're in New York. We already have this time zone challenge, and I'm waking up and texting or sending Facebook messages to Tucker Carlson at 3:00 in the morning. Sending your video, you know, I'm trying to do everything I can to get you in front of this guy. You were doing the same. We're all, and then you'd say to the whole campaign, all right, everybody tag Tucker Carlson. and you know, so anyway, I get a response from him at 3:00 in the morning. For some reason, I hear my phone ding. I reach over. My husband's like, are you kidding me right now? It's 3 a.m. And I look at my phone and it's Tucker Carlson. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's responding, thank you very much for the information. I'm looking at, and I'm like, oh, he responded. I can't believe it. Yeah. So, I mean, we had so many crazy moments like that. But yeah, just going one day at a time, one moment at a time, you know?
Right. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to say like I wasn't nervous at all, but like I was like, I got this. I got this. Like, it's fine. I just went in there. And then, as we all know, I had 2.5 minutes to explain why I walked away from the Democratic Party, why I walked away from liberalism, all the reasons why and what was wrong with it, how I created a 6-minute video about it, how I created a Facebook group that was the Walkaway campaign, how it was a testimonial campaign, what it was, how many people were in it. I had 2.5 minutes to explain this, and by God, I did it.
You killed it. You killed it. We were sitting in the living room watching this. Oh my gosh. And I was recording it on my phone, you know, my husband's like, I'm going to record this on the DVR, you know, but we were so excited. Like, oh my gosh, it's happening.
Also when the floodgates opened within the group.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
it went from like 5,000 to 100,000 in what seemed like hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, Tanya, you stay on as long as you can. I'm going to jump over to Sharon for a minute. Sharon, can you tell us, I'd like to hear a little bit more, if you don't mind, about this, what happened with this close friend of yours? What was the situation?
We were, we had been very good friends for many, many, many years, 25 years, best friends. She lives in Florida, I live in Texas, and we always just remained close. We were friends from when, you know, I was in my, I'm not even going to date myself, for a long time. she has always been a very staunch Democrat, like always been Democrat. And I started moving away. I was moving towards independent, you know, doing more research. Like this doesn't feel right anymore, you know? And so I just kept moving. And, you know, we always remained friends. But then I moved to Texas. She moved to Florida. And I became more of a conservative by far. I married a conservative, and he's a military guy and very much a Republican. So I think just being with him and, you know, us having conversations, I moved that way. So I started posting things on my Facebook, and she came at me one day regarding the border situation. And I said to her, I just don't like them using these people for talking points. I think it's horrible. I think, you know, there's a lot of things wrong with the situation, but I think it's horrible. And she said to me, you can never talk to me about family values again. I thought I knew you, blah, 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 blah. I haven't talked to her since.
Oh.
All on Facebook. And then I was so devastated. I'm like, how do you ruin a 25-year friendship? I mean, we had been through a lot of stuff together. And how do you just walk away from that because I have a differencing of opinion regarding immigration, you know?
Right.
And so I just went in search of your video and I found it. And
How did you know it existed?
I didn't. I searched for it. Searched for it on YouTube. I just put I don't even remember what I put in a Google search. And there you were. It was like magic.
But were you just searching for something that would make you feel better, or did you know that the video, had you heard about it or something?
I was looking for people who were like me. I just needed to belong. I felt like this huge hole in my heart when she did that and wouldn't talk to me. And I'm like, I need to know that I'm not alone, that in the way that I'm thinking, that I'm not living in this echo chamber of my house with me and my husband and my close family. I need to know that I'm not the only one that's thinking these things, right? So I did a couple of Google searches and came across your video, and it was the first or second thing that came up. Like the first thing came up was like, "Dah." And then you came up and like, what does this guy got to say? Who is this guy? You know? And I'm like, whatever. So I'm just going to put it on. Something's got to make me feel better. And I started sobbing. I was like,
wow.
Oh my God, this is it. This is what I need. I'd never been drawn to something like this. I mean, I played World of Warcraft for 16 hours a day. You know, that was my whole life, you know. That's what I did. Took care of my husband, play video games, you know.
Right.
And I mean, since June, I logged on once for about an hour just to update everything.
Wow.
Wow. I haven't been on, and this campaign has replaced that. So
well, this is the real life World of Warcraft. Yeah,
it really is.
This is better than any game.
Exactly.
I want to share something with you all that I don't know if I ever have before, just because it's, I know that all of us can relate in some way to Sharon's story. The second time I ever went on Judge Janine's show, I received a message the next morning, a text message from my best friend since third grade. Some of it I can't read, but I will read to you what I can. So I had just done Judge Janine's show for the second time. I was very excited having this second opportunity I love Judge Janine and getting to talk about Walk Away and get the message out to more people. Went to bed that night, woke up the next morning and had this from my best friend from third grade. I'm embarrassed by you. My real gay friends who have more than a crappy high school education are scared by homophobes like you. So sad and fake and dumb. Cash grab? Or do you really believe what you say? So sad. You're pathetic. Enjoy Fox News. You're responsible for kids now thinking gay is a choice. Week.
Wow.
Justin, what do you think about that? I mean, as a fellow gay man, you know, which is, you know, not to make it about that, but you know, that's, I think, for us, kind of where people go. As a fellow human and as a fellow gay man, what do you think about that?
Well, I'd really like to say that that's really out of the ordinary and crazy, but unfortunately, I've received quite a few messages like that myself, and it never feels ordinary, but you do start to kind of not hold on to the feelings about it as much. You know, I too, I mean, I was a huge Obama supporter, but I, you know, started really doing a lot more of my own investigating and reading and trying to kind of better my own understanding of how politics works and how the country works. And just through that process, I just basically started to realize, oh, I'm actually a lot more conservative than I ever thought that I was. And that really surprised me. I knew that my whole family was conservative, you know, a lot of them. So I knew that not all conservatives were bad people. But I thought that the majority of conservatives were, you know, very racist and homophobic and, you know, probably, you know, appreciated the KKK and things like that. So I had this idea that there was kind of a majority extremist side to, you know, the conservative movement itself. But when I really started investigating and doing some of the research myself, I realized that was not the case. And, you know, like you, I started to talk about it. I started to, you know, let people know that I was thinking about this. And I got some of those messages too, Brandon. It was like people that I'd known for many, many, many years just suddenly completely turning on me, unfriending me on Facebook, you know, saying that I was what was wrong with the gay community and, you know, I was a self-hating gay and all these things. So, yeah, unfortunately, that message doesn't sound that unusual to me, although it sounds extremely painful considering you've known this person for so long.
Right. You know, it's interesting too, because I if we're to speak on the topic of the gay thing for a moment, it's like that's sort of this area that people zero in on and target, and they, you know, like you said, the self-hating gay, the, you know, or contributing to the destruction and the demise of the gay community or whatever by being a conservative. It's so funny because one of my primary missions all of this time has been, we lost Sharon. One of my primary missions all of this time has been wanting to show gay people that they have a choice, which I think is empowering, by showing them you don't have to be a look. If you want to be, do it. Like if you want to vote Democrat, vote Democrat. If you want to be a liberal, do it. You know, I'm not going to go and, you know, break into your house and take you down to vote Republican at gunpoint or anything. But isn't it empowering to know that you have a choice? But I guess not.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how it seems to be viewed by a lot of people. And I don't know if there's just a lot of people that are kind of stuck in old thinking, or if, you know, it's a lot of their own personal experience. You know, I know that a lot of people had some different negative experiences growing up that I feel like really kind of pushed them, you know, one way or the other. And, you know, I can definitely understand that, but I also think that politics has changed, the parties have changed. You know, I still feel like on a lot of levels, I'm kind of a classical liberal. and I don't think that necessarily has changed at all. It's the party more than me that has changed. And, my dad as a conservative would constantly send me things kind of like, your husband, Libby. I would kind of roll my eyes and, okay, yeah, I'll watch it. And he sent me your video. And I just thought, what the heck, I'll look at it. And I remember I was walking to my car and I watched probably, 10 seconds of it, stopped, came back inside, got on the computer, sat down and watched it and started sobbing. I was so overwhelmed and moved by everything that you had said and, all the big gay words and all of that. But, I just immediately knew that I needed to connect with, this campaign and these people. It took me a couple of weeks to make my own video because I was so nervous about kind of putting myself out there. So I just kind of sat back and watched, I would sit there for hours watching videos. And finally, I had Libby reach out to me and I just jumped at the chance to get involved and, help out whatever, way that I could at the time. And it's really been my life ever since. I mean, It's what I do from the time I get up until when I go to bed. And, it's the best job a person could ask for. And, it feels like this campaign really, like you said at the march, I just have these moments where I kind of stop and I'm like, just in shock. How did this happen? Yeah. And being there with all of you, I felt the same way, Brandon. It was like I'd known you guys forever, Running Sharon, I felt like we were family, so it was really special.
Yeah. Justin, when you made the comment a second ago about the big gay words, after I made my video and it went pretty, super viral, I had a friend reach out to me and said, because of you, millions of people in America are now looking up the word deleterious.
That's true. I had to look it up.
Didn't we just change that word on something?
What's that?
We just changed that word on some documentation I was working on.
We did. You're right.
People said, what is that?
What I think is really interesting about all of this, though, and something that I hadn't really considered is, one of the biggest fears for me in not just openly admitting that I don't accept this Democratic platform any longer, but even to accepting it to myself, like admitting that to myself, is that I was terrified that my very large network of gay friends and family, of minority friends and family, were going to think that I was a traitor. And so, just as the two of you feel sort of stuck inside of this bubble that you think you're supposed to be in because you're gay, it extends to heterosexuals as well, because we're so worried about being allies and being, the people that back you up. Like, that has never changed. I have always been a huge advocate. I've always fought for gay rights. Nothing has changed there, but it doesn't matter. My record means nothing. The fact that I now identify, I don't even have to identify as conservative, just the fact that I left the Democrat Party means I'm an evil monster, and I was faking it all this time.
Libby.
Sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, I was just going to say quickly, that's actually exactly the way I feel about the transgender community, because I've always been an advocate for transgender people. I still am. Like, my attitude toward that hasn't shifted whatsoever. But now that's what I get as well. And for me, and this is just my opinion, but I started to feel like liberalism was damaging the transgender community, because now we don't say transgender anymore. We say trans. And the reason why we say trans is because if you feel like you're any one of 87 different genders, you're trans. Or if you identify as a boy at the beginning of the day and a girl later in the day and a boy later in the day, you're trans. If you feel like you have no gender whatsoever and you're gender fluid or gender queer, you're trans. And these poor, like, actual transgender people are like, what the hell? Why are you calling? It would be like if people were calling themselves gay. I equate it to like that straight girl who's 18 years old and goes to a frat party and gets drunk and starts making out with another girl. And she's like, look at me, I'm a lesbian. It's like, no, you're actually not. And that makes actual gay people look really bad. And I mean, that was part of my push. It was actually a pro-transgender feeling that pushed me further away from liberalism. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Justin?
Well, I was going to say, I think it's so interesting that we feel that way, Libby, because what I really had to start questioning myself was like, what exactly am I fighting for in terms of gay rights at this point? Do I really feel like as a gay person that I am in some way not equal to everyone around me? And I really don't actually feel that at all. I was also just going to say that, it's been very interesting kind of going around in these circles and being in DC with you all, meeting, very prominent conservative figures, and never once have I felt even the slightest bit of, homophobia or seen any kind of racism or anything. I mean, I've not seen a single drop of it anywhere, and that just, it makes me wonder where this is coming from,
Right.
And like to what you said, Brandon, I think it's interesting because I had a couple of friends growing up that I actually couldn't remember if they were boys or girls. I just knew that they dressed like boys and had boys' names, but I think they were both born female, but at that time they were just, their male name and, someone who dressed like a male. They didn't need to have all these special kind of pronouns and names. And I think at that point they actually felt more equal to everyone else rather than being kind of boxed into these little categories everywhere.
Right.
And so in that same way, I do feel like it's actually been so damaging, to the trans community to kind of box them in and make them separate. And
right.
So I start to wonder where all this political correctness is actually taking us. Like, are we protecting anyone by, creating a new category every time someone feels like they don't fit somewhere?
It's
Right.
ruining Christmas, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it is. Oh God, it's totally ruining Christmas. I want to pull Melissa in. Poor Melissa's been sitting here quietly for a while, but just very quickly before I do, a couple of points on what you were saying, Justin. It's so true. I mean, I obviously I too have met a lot of prominent conservative figures. Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee. I'm naming the ones that traditionally get assigned the label of like the most virulently homophobic. Herman Cain, Pastor Mark Burns. And I want to make clear, like, not only do I never feel a homophobic bone in their bodies, but I also don't feel like they're avoiding the topic of me being gay. All of those people that I just named, we've openly had conversations about me being gay. It's not something that they're like, I'm just tolerating this thing about you that I hate. No. And it's not that disingenuous, I love the sinner but hate the sin. I mean, it's literally like nobody cares. They just don't. I mean, I was on Mike Huckabee's show and he was like, my next guest is, he said young. My next guest is young. He's single. He's gay. He's whatever. And I'm like, this sounds like, like you're an advertisement for Sex in the City, not like, a virulently homophobic Republican describing his next guest. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Melissa.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. So I want to kind of jump in because I actually don't know this myself. What is your experience with finding out about the campaign or seeing my video, or which came first, and how did that all unfold for you?
So the campaign unfolded first. I was actually sent there for a friend of mine that works White House events. It was like, hey, I need you to step in and go do this. I was going to volunteer, but she sent me because she was doing something else. And I kind of walked into this whole thing and I was like, I didn't really know what I was walking into. So I walked in and I was like, okay. And then I started meeting everybody and I was like, this is awesome. And the longer I stayed and the more people I met, I was like, this is amazing. It didn't matter if you were a speaker. It didn't matter if you were, a volunteer. Like literally everyone treated everyone else with the most respect and love. And I got to be honest, I've done events my whole life. I've done a lot of marketing in my life. I've worked with a lot of people, and I've never been in that environment. I've never been in an environment where everybody loved and worked together very well. And as you know, at the brunch, when people came up and started speaking, I was just like, I've never seen this,
I know.
This diverse group of people in one room, and they're hugging and they're loving each other and they get to talk their mind and nobody's like snickering in the corner. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was just totally impressed and just fell in love with each and every one of you. Justin, at the hotel, and we just sat after the event and we were all exhausted but laughing and having just a great time. And
yep.
Meeting all of you is you guys have a big piece of my heart. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm really glad you brought up the brunch because I was going to say it if you didn't say it for anybody who doesn't know. So the last day of the Walkway March on Washington weekend was Sunday, the 28th of October. We threw a brunch to kind of it was our closing farewell brunch. And a friend of Walkway, Dinesh D'Souza, he's been an incredible friend and ally to our campaign and done amazing things for us. And he stepped right up and flew to Washington, D.C. and, offered his services to speak at our closing brunch. And we thought that was like the special, that's it. That's the special thing about our brunch. And I mean, it was incredible. Everybody was like blown away by what an amazing time that they had hearing Dinesh D'Souza speak. But then we had the room for an additional hour and 15 minutes. We had the room until 12, and Dinesh wrapped up somewhere around 10:45. And so I just stepped up to the microphone and I was like, hey, we've got the room and the audio visual, and the microphone and the speaker for till 12. What if we just open up the mic and anybody who wants to speak come up for 2 minutes and just say what this weekend has meant to you or what this campaign has meant to you. And we literally had so many people come up that not everyone even got a chance to speak. And it's literally not an exaggeration when I say we had we had rednecks, we had socialites, we had gay people, straight people, black people, brown people, Asian people, and the last person, just totally by coincidence, who had the opportunity to speak was a transgender woman who got up and she said never in her life has she had the love and the feeling of unity that she felt that weekend. She was crying and she said, this weekend has meant more to me than anything. And she had a flag. And if I recall correctly, it was actually the transgender flag, I believe. And she said, it would mean so much to me if everybody would sign my flag before this weekend is over. And every person at that brunch, regardless of race, background, religious affiliation, creed, signed her flag. It was amazing. It was absolutely incredible.
It was incredible.
It was beautiful.
Blown away. So to be a part of that, it was just like, oh my gosh. So,
I missed my flight for that.
Well, you what?
I missed my flight for that.
To sign the flag?
To see all the speakers. Sharon and I hung out and we were like, can't leave yet. Can't leave yet.
I didn't know you missed your flight.
Sat in the airport for 7 hours afterwards. I was like, it was totally worth it. It was totally worth it.
I did not know that story. That's amazing. That's amazing. So that's when we met Melissa. We love Melissa. Melissa's jumped on our team. She's now a regional leader Is that correct? For the Southeast
Southeast.
regional leader, because the Walkway campaign now has state groups and regional groups, and we're going to be doing incredible things with those groups going into 2019. And the people who are largely responsible for the existence of our state groups are Sharon Black and Justin Buchanan. And Sharon, I want to throw it back to you for a minute, because we didn't really get a chance to talk about what you do for the campaign, because as I said, you've kind of been a jack of all trades. And first of all, tell us all the things that you have done, the hats that you have worn in the campaign up until this point.
Moderator, lead moderator, moderation manager. I've done HR, administration, executive administrative assistant. I jump in, anybody, graphics. I've
What's
done
your actual title, though, Sharon?
Oh, my actual title now?
Yeah.
I kind of went with director of stuff,
That's right.
but
what you are.
you know, it doesn't really look good when you're trying to be professional. You know,
Yeah.
I just kind of wing it, you know, and I just jump in wherever I'm
Sharon.
needed, whoever needs me.
Sharon, you also do Twitter and YouTube.
Yes.
That's like, I thought that was what you would lead with. That's like your favorite thing. You didn't even mention it.
It's my favorite thing, but we have, just like anything with the campaign, I kind of roll with where I'm needed the most at that
Right.
time. And the State Leaders Project really needed my help with Justin. Justin really needed my help, and I just kind of roll, you know. It's amazing. I just love it, because I'm not short of stuff I need to do. That's for sure. You know?
I want to say, one of the things I really love about Sharon is everything she just described is true. Like, she'll be the first person to jump in and do what needs to be done and help out, regardless of if she feels like, you know, this is my job or not my job, whatever. But the thing I love is that Sharon is not like, there's nothing about you, Sharon, that's like trying to like, you're not like ambitious in a way that you're trying to like control things or run things, whatever. I have this funny story about Sharon I want to share. So as we were getting close to the Walkway March on Washington wrapping up, this was always the thing. We're like, guys, we just need to like kind of, you guys were kind of really instrumental in keeping the campaign going, because I was like full focus on the march and everything that needed to be done for the march. But, you know, and I kept saying, I was like, as soon as the march is over, we're going to put all our focus back into the organization and figure out exactly how we're moving forward into developing our 501c3, our nonprofit status, developing, you know, like really clear systems in place for what's going to be done and how we're going to go into 2019. But there was a question mark hanging over a lot of that stuff that it just needed to be put on hold until the march was over. Sharon calls me on the phone when we're getting close to the march. Like, we're getting close to that point. The march is going to be over. We're going to have that discussion. She was like, Brandon, she was like, I just need to get a little clarification. She's like, I know that we're really close to like having these discussions and stuff. I'm not going to be running this campaign, right? She's like, please tell me. She's like, I'm really happy with what I'm doing, but Brandon, she's like, I can't run to the campaign. Please I need you to tell me I'm not running the campaign. I'm like, Sharon.
Yep. Like, please don't give me that pressure. I can't. No. Tell me what to do. I'm real good at someone saying, here, go do this. I'm like, no problem. But to say to me, Sharon, now I want you to make sure that everybody's taken care of, and then I need you to do that. No, that's Libby. Libby. Right. I will follow her right off a short pier. No problem. Sharon,
Right.
jump. No problem. I'm out there.
But there's so many people, I think there's so many people who would love to sort of insert themselves and be like, oh, there's an opening. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to take control. I'm going to take charge. Sharon, I love that you're willing to work your ass off. You're willing to do whatever needs to be done. But you're like, I am not going to run this campaign. Like, I am not taking that job. And I love that about you, Sharon.
Nope, not doing it. Thank you. I mean, again, Brandon, I just want to I just want to serve the campaign. I just want to volunteer. I just want to go and do whatever is needed, wherever I'm needed. And I do it with a loving heart, because I see all these people that can benefit from it. And they need this. This country needs this. And,
That's right.
I do it for all of them every single day. I'll go in and watch those videos over again because I'm still editing. And I'll watch them and just tears streaming down my face, just listening to these people, those heartfelt moments. And we have more people to reach. And that's why I do it every day.
They're all so good. They're all so good. I mean, it's funny because even when the campaign first started, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was nervous. I was like, are we gonna get some like crazy people coming on here and just like ranting, you know, and just going berserk and whatever. And I don't know if I should say this, but I mean, like every once in a while, a testimonial comes in and you look at the person, you're like, oh boy, you know, but like it never turns out that way. Like even some of these people who are like sitting on their porch and I'm like, this is going to be kind of like a roughneck person, right? It ends up being this like incredibly beautiful, heartfelt. And I'm like, wow, I got so much out of hearing that person's story. Like I've never been like horrified, like by, you know, by anything that anybody said. I mean, it really just goes to show that you can't judge a book by its cover, you know, and that everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story to tell. Justin, little baby Justy, can you tell, I want you to tell everybody from your perspective, what are the hats that you've been wearing?
Oh gosh. Well, Sharon and Libby and I have really worked basically hand in hand, you know, since June. And gosh, I was a moderator, lead moderation manager, right along with Sharon. Then I worked right under Libby as kind of her assistant for quite a while. Then I became Brandon's assistant. And then, gosh, I've worn all the hats too. I did a lot of the kind of writing for, you know, all the documentation and stuff like that, and got the YouTube figured out. And gosh, it's been fun because there's never a boring, you know, minute. There's always something going on and always a job that can be done.
Right.
You know, one of the great things about this campaign is that I feel like everyone's just willing to jump in and do things where they're needed.
Right.
No one's that concerned about titles or even recognition or, you know, power. It's like we all just really are in this. And like Sharon said, you know, whenever I'm having a rough day or things are a little stressful, I'm like, all right, I need to take a testimonial break, you know? And I'm like, okay, I'm back on, you know? It's like, now I know why I'm here. I don't want to cry, but really, like, that's what keeps me going every day is like all the people and seeing these people just open up and people say, I haven't been able to talk about this for years. And I'm finally feeling like I can open up and say something. I can tell people how I really feel. Right. And that keeps me going every single day. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I totally get it. And I want to throw back to Libby for a second to kind of tell people, because I think this one thing I want to do, I'd like to, while I have everybody here, because in a way, so I want everyone to know, okay, we have a weekly meeting, at least one every week. This group plus Michael plus Tanya has a meeting. The meetings are supposed to go an hour. Oftentimes they go a lot longer than an hour. But we discuss all of the things that happened in the previous week. We discuss the things that need to be done. And I think it could be very easy for people. So I wanted to give people today kind of a bird's eye view behind the scenes of the structure and what goes on within the campaign, because I think it could be really easy for people to think like, it's a Facebook group. Like, what's the big deal? It's a Facebook group, right? Oh my God. You guys have no idea. Libby, I want to throw it to you because I want people to really understand. First of all, I want you to tell a bit about what you've done since the beginning to really get in there and organize this structure, how much work it's been. But also, I want people to know we don't have a single video testimonial on this campaign for which people have not signed a consent form. And these consent forms are filed away and stored and organized. There's nobody associated with the campaign who doesn't sign a non-disclosure act. All of these non-disclosures are filed away and organized. We are incredibly organized. I mean, this is. I don't think that there's any business that's more organized than the Walkaway campaign is, and it's up until this point been done entirely through passionate volunteers. And Libby, can you tell people more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing. Really.
Incredible.
I mean, it started, like I said before, when I jumped in at about, I think, 5,000 people, and started moderating. We had a team of 3 moderators at that point. There were, I was the lead moderator. We ended up growing it to, I don't know, probably like 15 moderators that really pitched in and helped us get through a backlog. At some points we had a backlog of like 1,000 testimonials that we had to get through. Mind you, we read every single one of them. We watch every single one of them in its entirety. But then I think that was the point when we kind of recognized that this doesn't have to be a social media movement. This could be a lot more than that. And we were getting pigeonholed a little bit into it just being a hashtag. And Brandon did a really good job of sort of breaking out of that mold. And I think that was the point that we identified that, you know what, we really need to build some organizational structure here, some infrastructure to make sure that we can sustain the long haul. And so a lot of the volunteers, at least our most loyal and most dedicated volunteers, came out of that moderation department, especially in the form of Sharon and Justin. And we've had many other loyal and dedicated people as part of the campaign as well. As Brandon mentioned, they've had to move on for some reason or another. But
right.
You know, it's amazing how dedicated they are. And I have no shame in telling you that we literally build this plane as we're flying it. So we've had to become very agile, very flexible. You know, to Sharon and Justin's point, everybody just chips in and does what's needed. You know, very little ego involved. And that's really, really important when you're trying to grow and build an organization to be able to sustain the long haul. And so that's really what we've tried to do. We started with really solidifying the moderation department. We put in not only guidelines for the group itself, for the members to follow. We had to put in a training process for the moderators. We built a handbook for the moderators. We sourced external applications for communication because, let's face it, Messenger sucks. We had to create what our methods of communication would be. How do we tackle things that we don't understand within the group? Once we got that squared away and had some really good management involved, that's when we started building out other departments like HR. We needed somebody that could source more volunteers for what we needed them to do. Marketing, we had Tanya, who was fabulous at being the head of marketing, but she's just one person,
right?
And she's a volunteer. She's got to make money, and unfortunately, we can't afford to pay anyone. So, you know, we spent some time building out that organization and finding different people that could do different things like content, branding, website. So we started building those things out. Not to mention YouTube. We needed to find ways that we could monetize in order to sustain the overhead that we did have as an organization. So we built out the YouTube channel thanks to Sharon and to James Tenney, who was another person that just jumped in and created something and then graciously turned it over to us to take care of. It's amazing to think of all of these people that we have touched and they have touched us back along the way out of the pure kindness of their heart. They have no ulterior motives None. They've just helped the campaign grow and to be successful. And so to your point, Brandon, things got a little bit sidetracked when we went into the march because focus had to be 100% on the march to get everything done. But now we're switching gears back into an amazing year. I mean, 2019 is going to be huge, right? I mean, we know this.
Yeah.
This is going to be huge. So now we're really focused on getting our 501c3 status in check, working on solid goals for fundraisers, reaching out to our individual contributors. I mean, you guys, the members of this group helped us raise so many funds to put on such a successful march, and just individual contributions. These are not big money, corporations and donors coming through. These are just individuals, just like the rest of us, who contributed their hard-earned money to this campaign to make sure that we entrusted us to do good things with that cash. And we did. And I hope that we made you proud. But we're going to continue to up that game. We're going to continue to build out and structure the organization. We've got a ton of new initiatives coming up that we're excited to talk to you that include education and a road show and just really getting out there and building and building and building and building and spreading the word. And our short-term goal is for obviously the 2020 election, but this is going to reach much further and much longer than that. Yes.
I love that phrase that you said, building the airplane as we're flying it. I'm going to steal that from you in some of my interviews because that's really, really good. It's a perfect description. And I want to make clear too for anybody watching, I think that hopefully seeing the show has given you a little bit of perspective as to the heart and the passion and the dedication of these people who have volunteered, I mean, at the expense of spending time with their families, at the expense of probably dedicating more time to their actual jobs than they should have been. But I don't want anybody here to be a volunteer anymore. And so I really hope that everybody watching understands that as we go into 2019, and we're now applying for our 501c3 status, and we're also applying for 501c4 status, please keep our campaign always in the front of your minds and right there in your heart, because we're going to need your help going into 2019. I mean, this campaign has touched so many people, but we really haven't even begun. I mean, there's so many more people that need to be reached. There's so much more that we need to do, and it can't exist on just fumes forever. I mean, people can't work for free for the rest of their lives. And I know that, and I think most people watching this know that. So I hope that we'll be able to really count on the support of people who believe in this mission as much as the people working on this campaign believe in the mission. And that I'd like to see every person on this screen right now making a salary and having this be their job. I know, Sharon, you said, I'm just here to volunteer. I'm just here to volunteer. Honey, you need a paycheck. Everybody needs a paycheck. It's a fact of life. And I want it to be that way for everybody. Right, Justin?
I think we'll get there. And
we will get there.
One of the things that continues to astound me about this campaign is just how passionate people are about it. We don't have people come along that say, oh yeah, I think the campaign is kind of cool. It's like, people love this campaign. Meeting so many people in DC, how many people who, drove from really far away to be there, or, skipped vacations they could go on to come to this march or to be there with us and to support us. I know that with members like ours, we're going to go really far.
Well, you're giving people a voice. You're giving people a voice now to say things and express themselves. And that's it's major. It's major. I came away from that march and I was like, before I was like, oh, conservative. And now I'm like, yeah, okay. So there's me. It's really cool. It's an actual freeing experience.
Right. It's so true. It's so true, because I think that now people who for a long time, kind of like Libby alluded to earlier in the conversation, like she's not doing anything wrong. None of us are doing anything wrong, but we live in a world where the only acceptable point of view or voice is that we are doing something wrong, even though that's not true. Yeah. And I think we're kind of blowing the lid off of that narrative and allowing people to feel like they are supported. You know, it's become kind of like a catchphrase for our campaign that it's time for the silent majority to become unsilent. And I think that the Walkaway campaign has kicked that door down. And I think people are becoming unsilent, and now they're feeling free to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot. There's nothing wrong with me supporting the president. I support our president. I support our country. And people are finding that strength to have that voice and to be able to say that. And they deserve to. Mm-hmm. I think.
I keep wishing that somehow we'd been able to, at the brunch or, one of the events over that weekend, could have been able to get like a huge group photo of everyone.
That would have been great.
Say, this is what conservative America looks like today.
Right.
Because it was such a diverse group of people. It was unbelievable. It totally just blew the top off this conception of conservatism that it seems like the media tries to put out there. It was so beautiful just to, be there and actually witness all of that. I think that's what's frightening to the left about this campaign.
Right.
That's what we're threatening.
It shatters their narrative.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, everybody. Unfortunately, we have to wrap this up. The very special Walkaway episode, kind of a year-end / birthday / family meeting episode. Very special episode. So before we go, does everyone want to take just 10, 15 seconds to give a closing final thought? Anything you want anyone to know? Not to put you on the spot, but anything anybody has to say or wants to say?
I do.
Yay!
Listen, I just want to tell everyone to stay tuned. Okay, we know that everybody needs a break after the midterms. Take that break. It's the holidays. Spend the time with your family. Come back in January 2019 refreshed and ready to kick some ass, because we've got a lot of work to do. And behind the scenes, we are gearing up for it.
Yes, so true. So true. Anybody else?
Sure. I just want to say thank you to all of, the members of this campaign, and just keep up, your kind of strong heart, putting yourself out there and, showing the world who you really are. And, we so appreciate you trusting us to carry this message and be a part of helping you to be heard. So thank you.
Well, that was much sweeter than what I said. That's what I meant.
Sharon, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, if anybody needs anything, go to Justin. No.
I love it. Melissa?
I would love for you guys to, anybody who hasn't made videos, testimonials, get out there, do that. I would love some new material. I would love to put you on our YouTube channel. Let's hear your voice. You got one, use it.
I love it. I love it. Any closing thoughts, Melissa?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And thank you for putting all of this to the forefront. This is like one of the most amazing things I've ever been this is the most amazing thing I've ever been a part of. I mean, I thank you, and thank this amazing team for being, welcoming me with open arms, and I'm really excited to help and be an integral part of growing this, because I believe in it, and I believe in all of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm going to follow the lead there, I think, and also close out on a note of gratitude and just say thank you all, everyone here. Thank you, everyone watching from the Walkaway campaign. But I want to especially thank all of the people here in this chat today for all of the hard work, for everything that you've done. Obviously, I had an idea, but that idea could not have even come close to growing into what we have today without each and every one of you. Together, we somehow found each other and created something very special. And as I've said, I think we've only just begun. So Thank you for changing our country, and thank you for changing my life. I love you all very, very much. And I just want to close out the show by saying that I am walking away, and I encourage all of you to do the same. Thank you all. Walk away. Good night.